Hello and welcome back to another Backflip Happy Hour. I'm Ryan Fring, co-creative director here at Backflip. Thanks for tuning into the show where we have no agenda and very little notes, and we get to hang out with our friends and just drink and have fun. Joining me, as always, oops, I can't click on it, is other co-creative director John Shoemaker. Say hey, John.
I just took a big bite of donut.
It was perfect timing. I was just eating my little bowl of shrimp real quick because of the drink that Carolyn gave us to drink. She said you needed food in your belly, so I was scarfing that down. What do you got for me today, John?
Well, chocolate, blueberry, and cream.
That is exactly what I was hoping you would say. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring our guests in here. So I'm going to go just by the way that we build you guys. We got Father John Putzer over here and Carolyn down here. How's it going, guys?
Doing real well, thanks.
So good.
And Carolyn, you, I think I have a title for you, which is really fun. You are sometimes guest, frequent viewer, co-producer, director of advancement at St. Ambrose Academy. Always fun to have you on. But now we have our other friend, Father Putzer, on.
Woohoo! He also has a great title.
Yep,
It's a real title.
Oh, no, hang
on. Here we go. That was our coming up graphic. Secretary second class. Not first class. Are you assistant to the first class secretary?
Assistant to the first class secretary, exactly.
Yeah. Well, before we get into things, let's share what we're drinking. So Carolyn gave us some drinks. Did she send anything to you, Father?
She did not send anything to me. She has not sent anything to me since I've been in Switzerland. She used to send things to me when I was in the Congo, but more on that later.
Nice. What do you got? Do you have anything right now that you're drinking, Father?
I've got a gin and tonic in inappropriate glassware, but it's the botanist gin with just Schweppes tonic, but it's still very tasty.
Nice. Is that the drink of Switzerland?
It is not, but it is a nice drink.
It is because you're drinking it.
Exactly.
Nice. Carolyn, what do we got then?
So we have so I poured it. I haven't drank it yet. So the head used to be up here. I poured it, 10 minutes ago? And now it's already shrunk, but it is from Belgium. It is a Trappist beer called Westbladeren 12, which Father John introduced me to. So I felt it was very appropriate, right and just, to have it here. And then I gave you guys another bottle. So it comes in these very nondescript looking bottles. And that's just what it is. This is a legit thing. So if you see something that says Trappist Westbladeren and it's not that, it's fake.
Fun note on that, on the bottles, Carolyn was mentioning before the show, but it's also interesting to note. The bottles are identical for all of the Trappist beers, and at least when I was in Belgium, I studied in Belgium before becoming a priest, and at that time there were 12 Trappist beers in total, or Trappist breweries rather, and they all came in the same bottle, but the only difference was the cap, and so you could distinguish between the beers by the cap.
Yeah, I have my cap. Let's see. Oh, you got yours right there.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, I asked Carolyn. I almost threw it away.
Yep.
Good thing you kept it.
Yeah. I'll put it on my wall.
Yeah, do it. Because this is the thing that if you're served this beer, they will serve you the cap to verify that it is what they say it is. Because otherwise you could pour a dark beer that's yeasty and it's, whatever. But this is how they know the consumer, the customer knows.
Exactly.
In this brewery, they make 3 kinds of beer. So this is the yellow cap, the 12, and then they make the 10 and the 8. The 8 is a light beer, and the 10 is like a brown ale of sorts. And then there's this one, and this is the highest alcoholic content, which is why before the show I told John and Ryan that they should maybe eat something because I made that mistake the first time I had it.
Oh, it's
and
so
for
good.
a number of years, I don't know if it still is, but for a number of years, it was rated the best beer in the world. I don't know what its standing is.
Yeah,
it's amazing. How did you get it home?
I don't know if I want to put this on the internet. I
I don't think they can come after you.
Right, it's in the past. There's like a what is it? The
Statute of limitations.
Thank you. So I basically had 2 crates of it. So all these bottles. What is it? 24 bottles, I think, and it's in these really nice wooden crates. And so you have to call ahead. Now you can go online, but you have to call ahead at the time. So it was like 3 a.m. our time, and I was calling and hanging up and calling and hanging up. And you reserve your crates, and then they tell you you're coming on this day at this time. And you say, okay, thank you. And you come on that day at that time, and you pick up your beer. So I had these 2 large crates. I did a ton of research. I went to what's like an equivalent of U-Haul in Belgium, and I got these really nice heavy-duty packing boxes and peanuts and like a huge roll of bubble wrap. The guys, they were super nice. He's like, what are you doing? What are you shipping? I was like, beer, just beer. So I wrapped all of it really intentionally, and then I checked those big boxes underneath the plane. So that was how I got all this back. I did bring a lot back in my check luggage as well. So when I go to Europe, I bring large luggage that's like half empty. And then when I come back, there's maybe some other things in there like wine and Normandy gin and Belgian beer. So pro tip, that's how you get it back.
That's awesome.
And
yeah, we've been enjoying it.
Carolyn is very diligent, as you all know. And so she looked into the limits in terms of customs and what can be brought on the plane and whatnot. And she was keeping me thoroughly updated throughout the whole process. I was in the Congo at the time, but
one of them was for him. I should have mentioned that. So one of the cases, one of those crates, was for him, and one was for me. And so it's like you're supposed to use it for personal use only, but it's very vague about what that means. And
indeed.
Yeah, it was a personal present that you were giving to someone.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Also, it's partially too because Carolyn. So when you do this order on either by phone or online with West Ladrian Monastery, there's a limit of 3 crates of 24 beers apiece, and she was telling me that she was planning on just getting 2 crates. I was like, well, that would be a waste of a trip. So I said, well, I'll buy the 3rd crate. If you're willing to take it back, I'd be more than happy to pay for it. So
no, it was only 1 crate. I was only gonna get 1. You were like,
really?
why? What? Yeah.
Yes. I stand corrected.
Because it was a lot of like the mental. I'd never done it before, so it was really more like, oh my gosh, like how much am I gonna have to do? How much am I have to? How am I gonna ship these back home? All this kind of stuff. So it was like the mental gymnastics of it was so much. And that's what made me hesitant. And then now that I've done it, well, whatever, I would do it again in a heartbeat. Like it's no big deal. So you just get over it, and it's fine.
Also, I've added titles. I've added new titles for you guys. And Carolyn, I don't know what Wi-Fi you're on. You're frozen. But I added Smuggler to your title. And for Father John over here, let's see. True. We've got Co-Conspirator. Yeah.
Hundo
pretty accurate.
Yeah.
That is so accurate. You don't even know. Like,
well, it's good to start off with a story like this.
Right. His the title I have given him for many years is Instigator. He's an instigator of things.
I believe that.
Good things.
Of good things. Mostly. Depending on who you are. For me, always. For some, maybe not.
I appreciate that.
So I think people, anyone who watches the show should know Carolyn. She's been on the show several times, is constantly telling me when I'm screwing up and asking good questions to get, questions from our guests. So you're probably aware of Carolyn and what she does. But Father, you're new to the show. Could you maybe just give us your story, your intro, your who's your daddy and what does he do type of kindergarten cop?
Sure. My daddy, his name is David Putzer. He's an accountant in retirement, at least partial retirement now. But no, I'm a priest of the Diocese of Madison, Wisconsin. And for the past, since 2012, I've been first studying for, preparing for, and then working in the diplomatic service of the Holy See. So some people might not be aware, some of the viewers may not be aware of the fact that the Catholic Church, the Holy See, has diplomatic relations with 183 countries around the world, which is the vast majority of countries. I think there are 194 currently. Don't quote me on that, though. And in addition to that, also 32 different international organizations. The Vatican diplomacy is one of the oldest in the world, and it's often considered to be very, very competent and capable. And I have to say, having lived through the formation process and now having been in 2 different assignments, my first was in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and now I'm currently serving at the Holy See mission to the United Nations office in Geneva, Switzerland. The Holy See diplomatic service is able to do a lot because the Catholic Church has such a broad and grassroots local presence all around the world, and so the difficulties and interests of the people in the various countries around the world are very present to the Holy Father, and really the reason for the diplomatic service of the Holy See is so that the Holy Father, Pope Francis, can be present in and through his diplomats in these various countries.
There's a lot to unpack there, but the one question I have is, it seems like you went from maybe one of the scarier places on Earth to one of the places people want to go for vacations. It seems
Indeed,
very
you should come
different.
visit me here in Switzerland. I had extended that invitation to a number of people to come to the Congo, and only my parents took me up on it. So, but no, yeah, it is quite a change. Obviously, in terms of climate, in terms of accommodations, creature comforts. This is among the first of the first world countries here in Switzerland, and the prices show as well. So, but surprisingly enough, actually, the prices in the Congo were not cheap either, especially if you wanted to have Western food or electricity and air conditioning. So it is quite a bit of a shift, but I thoroughly appreciated and enjoyed my time in the Congo. I learned a lot. It's important to perhaps note too that in the Congo, I was working at a nunciature. So it's the papal embassy to that country. And nunciatures around the world have dual roles. So the first and primary role of a nunciature is to be a liaison between the universal church and the Pope, and then the local church. So in terms of communications that come from Rome and are directed towards the local churches throughout the world, they often go through the nunciature, and vice versa. So if a bishop or a priest has something that they want to communicate to the Vatican offices or to the Holy Father, they normally pass through the nunciatures. On the other hand, here in Switzerland, I'm working in what's called the multilateral field. So whereas the embassies around the world and the nunciatures themselves as well are between 2 different countries, relating the diplomatic relations between 2 subjects of international law. In the multilateral field, it's not just 2 countries, but it's a group of countries that come together to talk about various things and establish international obligations based on treaties and documents that are signed. So obviously the biggest international organization with which the Holy See has official diplomatic relations is the United Nations organization. And it has 2 main offices, one in New York, where the General Assembly and the Security Council are. And then here in Geneva, a lot of the kind of the various subcommissions and the branches of the United Nations and even the negotiations take place here. So whereas in the embassies, it's just 2 states, here it's working with a lot of different countries and a lot of different issues.
That's I feel like I need to write all this down and study what you just said there.
There'll be a test at the end of the show.
Yeah. There's so much there. Like, what is kind of like your day-to-day look like? Maybe go with that. Like, what does a day-to-day look like? Because you're a diplomat, but it sounds more complicated and different than what I see on TV with maybe like a U.S. diplomat at an embassy or something.
Yeah, I mean, here, both in the institutes and in the mission here, the first thing that we do is, as priests, we celebrate the Mass. And so a good portion of our day is dedicated to prayer and living out our lives as priests, because the diplomats of the Holy See are all priests. And then but in terms of the actual work, I arrived here in October of 2020, so I've only been here since COVID has been in full swing, and literally all of the meetings that I've attended, and there have been a slew of them, have all been virtual or at least hybrid. And so it's a unique situation, especially just jumping into the work here. It's the first time that I'm trying to make contacts with the people with colleagues in various organizations and from various countries, but it's not as easy and straightforward as it would be if you'd be going to the United Nations offices and being able to sit down and chat in the hallways and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the work that we do is just to follow the activity of these various organizations and report on that activity to Rome, and then also to receive instruction from Rome as to how engaged we should be on any particular issue. So it's a lot of attending meetings, virtual meetings, then writing up reports.
Mm-hmm.
So it might sound less interesting than more interesting when I describe just the position than when I describe the actual day-to-day activity.
Yeah, but obviously, there's an impact in that. And let's see. Oh, we got a couple comments. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, so please do send your comments and we'll throw them up just like this. We'll probably get to this comment later. Father Scott Jablonski, who'll be on next week. People are dying to know, is more fun being on the show or playing Axis and Allies. So,
I presume that question is directed to me. So I had the great joy and privilege of being a parochial vicar at Sacred Hearts Parish of Jesus and Mary in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, when I was just ordained a priest in 2010. So before I went off to Rome for the studies and formation for the diplomatic service, and Scott, Father Scott Jablonski, was at that time a seminarian, and he spent a summer with us at the parish, and he and I played a game of Axis and Allies, a board game set in the World War II, and the answer to the question is it depends on who is playing. So for Scott Jablonski, Father Scott Jablonski, I would imagine that it would be more fun to be on the show than to play the game. But I thoroughly.
Are you saying he's not good at the game?
On par with being on this show.
No one is as good as Father John is. That's really what he won't say. So it depends on who you're playing with, is my answer, and it depends on how much you want to win. Or if you want to just learn the game and enjoy the experience of playing the game, which is how I approach Axis and Allies with Father John.
And I'm sure many of the viewers aren't familiar with the game, but it might seem rather straightforward and logical to presume that the USSR, which is not the most wealthy nation in the world in World War II, ought not to buy expensive bombers in its attacks, whereas when it's trying to defend from the onslaught of the German attack. So Father Scott Jablonski did buy a bomber for Russia, and he then lost Moscow.
I love how nerdy we're getting with the game. I don't think I've ever played Axis and Allies.
The Suez Canal.
We'll have to remedy that.
What were you saying, Carolyn, about the Suez Canal?
It's very important. And so when that ship was stuck in the Suez Canal, I sent Father John a message. I was like, this just reminds me of Axis and Allies, because it's so critical. And if it gets lost in Axis and Allies, you are screwed. Like, everything stops. And so that whole saga of the Suez Canal, I was like, man, anyone who's played Axis and Allies knows how bad this is.
That's awesome. So Father Scott is also following up saying your answers are so diplomatic, which
I know, dude.
way to be punny about
We
that.
do our best.
All diplomatic all
But
the time.
I'll just go out and say, Father Scott does not like playing games that he's going to lose or that he loses. So, I can feel for you there. So I know we've gotten a game from Father Scott because he did not do too well. And he's like, this is terrible. And he gave it to us. And we really enjoy it. So thank you, Father.
You got to play those collaborative games.
He doesn't like those, though, because he wants to win. So he's too competitive for a collaborative game, but he doesn't like. I like how we're just talking about Father Scott because he can't.
I know. Also, so Father John, next week you got to tune in, and then you got to comment and give Father Scott a bunch of crap.
Will do.
Take over that show. Yeah.
Although it does seem like it's backfired on him. So backfired.
Exactly. Yeah, it's no holds bar here. Yeah, we're live and there's no delay, there's no filter. Sometimes we talk about really inappropriate things, but hopefully not on this show.
We'll see where the beer takes us.
And we do have kind of a diversity of viewers. Yes. I also tagged this Terramana because I definitely am also drinking this. My West Veteran ran out really fast, so
you only had a half
some tequila. Yeah. But maybe for those who aren't that familiar with the Catholic Church or priests, they might see a priest and like, okay, so you work at a church. That's what you do. Could you maybe just talk about a little bit about the differences in, the jobs or whatever, the difference between being ordered or a parish or what you're doing or, and I don't even know, like, are there different classifications or how does that work exactly?
Sure. Yeah, it's honestly the job that I do is not the typical job. Certainly as a priest, I approach the work that I do not only as a job, but also as a ministry. First and foremost, I appreciate the importance and the desire of the Pope being able to communicate and interact with people of the world in as many ways as possible, because the Pope isn't there just for Catholics, but he has a moral voice that is important for everyone, and he takes that seriously. Pope Francis, in particular, has written on a number of occasions to not, his encyclical letters are often not written just to a section of the church or to a particular group of people, but to the world as a whole. And that role that I occupy as a secretary to a diplomatic mission helps him then to be present, to be more visible and to have more direct interactions with people, because obviously the Pope can't be everywhere at once, and so he does what he can, but he also relies on his diplomatic service amongst other things. And so I appreciate the ministerial aspect of my work as well, even though it might seem to get lost behind the numerous reports and meetings that I attend and write, but it is important. But really, I became a priest personally, imagining that I would be for my entire life in a parish within the confines of the Diocese of Madison. So that's one first distinction. And you alluded to this as well, Ryan, that there are religious orders and then there are diocesan priests. So dioceses are territorial jurisdictions of the Catholic Church. So the church is split up around the world in a number of pockets of different delineated territories with a bishop as the head of the diocese. And diocesan priests, which is it's the majority of priests in the world, are tied to the territory and to the bishop of that diocese. And so they'll go around and they could be assigned from one parish to the next, or work in a school or in various other ministries within the diocese. But normally they spend their entire ministry and lives in that diocese. Religious orders are slightly different because they are not tied to a specific territory, but to a rule. And the religious orders, some examples are the Franciscans, the Dominicans, the Jesuits, the Benedictines. They have a particular charism, so a special focal point, priority in their ministry. So with the Benedictines, it's a contemplative order. They focus on contemplative prayer, spending a lot of time praying with God to and for the world. The Dominicans are focused on teaching. The Jesuits on amongst teaching as well as evangelization, so going out and spreading the good news of the gospel. And the Franciscans focus on poverty and helping people in poor conditions. So these are just some examples of the various divisions within the priesthood. But as I mentioned again, what I do is very atypical, and it was on the request of my bishop when that I was sent to the diplomatic school in Rome to prepare for this service that I'm currently doing. So I'm effectively on loan from the Diocese of Madison to the Holy See to do this service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and obviously, you know, right now, maybe it's not obvious, but there is a huge need in parishes. You've got some priests who have 2 different parishes or multiple facilities, and you know, I know Father Scott's been in that place, and I can't remember where you've been, but it's likely that you've been in that place as well. But I guess how did we get there that the bishop's like, you know what, I think you need to go serve in this way, as opposed to we're kind of down, you know, in these parishes and we need some priests out there? Like, was he asked? Like, how did that come about?
I can't speak for the bishop. It was Bishop Morlino, who has since passed away. But I do know that from my perspective, Bishop Morlino had a very deep understanding of the universal nature of the church. So despite the great need in the Diocese of Madison for priests and for people who are committed to to serving the church, he also recognized the importance that I've grown to recognize while working in the diplomatic service of the value and importance of the work that we do here. And so I don't know if he was asked or if he volunteered by name by himself, but he recognized that it is worthwhile. I mean, I'll just share a little anecdote. I remember after I had said that I'd be willing to try, because I honestly didn't know that I would be capable of doing this work, that I would be successful. And so I said, when Bishop Morlino asked me in 2012, I said I would be open to trying as long as it's what you want and the Holy See wants. And but he mentioned, I've been very blessed in the Diocese of Madison by God with numerous seminarians and vocations to the priesthood, and so I feel that it's my duty, my obligation to give back to the universal church. So I really appreciated his perspective and his outlook, that he wasn't only looking to the very real needs of the diocese, but recognized that we're not isolated from the rest of the world, nor from the rest of the church. And so the importance of fostering that communion is worth making sacrifices for. So I really was struck by his appreciation of that reality.
It seems to be a very, I mean, it's a very classically Catholic thing, right? Like, you have all these missionaries from, I mean, it goes all the way back to the very beginning. And so you have, like, Belgium sent a bunch of priests to America. And so you have, when there's an abundance, I think there's that generosity of spirit that you see in orders or bishops to share, quote unquote, what is happening and the good things that are happening. And so I think we're just not as used to it in the kind of Western church in the US, because it's been like a culture of institutional church for so long that we don't really think of that aspect of like needing to go elsewhere. And there's a need elsewhere. And so I think it's this is a small sign of that reality that we just aren't as used to in the US.
Mm-hmm. And is this something that you retire eventually in? Are you in this until you're done with it, or is it something that you could get switched out of, or how does that all work?
Yeah, it's generally speaking, it's a large investment on the part of the Holy See, both in terms of time and money, to send a priest through the formation program in Rome at the Diplomatic Academy, and then also the idea is that the more experience that a diplomat has, the better able they are to address issues as they come up. So normally speaking, a nuncio, which would be the equivalent of an ambassador for the Holy Father, for the Holy See, has acquired already at least 17 years of experience in the diplomatic service as a secretary second class, a secretary first class, a counselor second class, a counselor first class, before then being named a nuncio. And so that's a wealth of experiences from a different, a wide variety of places that allows them to be able to recognize the importance of issues and deal with them in an appropriate manner. And so that investment does require a certain amount of commitment from my part as well as from the diocese. So to answer your question, normally speaking, it would be a lifelong path. So I would be in this until I retire. But there are always exceptions. So if something would come up and I would request to return to the diocese, it's not unheard of, and so the Holy See would evaluate that request and then respond accordingly. And so it's normally speaking, I would be in this for the rest of my life, and going from country to country. But then who knows? I mean, anything can happen.
You're really like a spy, right? When you go to the diplomatic corps, they like
Exactly.
teach you all these ninja skills.
They did teach them some anti-spycraft at one point.
But I couldn't talk about those details.
Allegedly, they learned some of these things. Allegedly.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I've watched House of Cards. I know how it all works. Or maybe that's not the good one. The Americans, yeah.
Bond.
Any spy movie ever?
Did you watch? I think you didn't.
No, I haven't watched The Americans.
Yeah. Usually my my TV and movie recommendations come from one half of this group of people right here. Sorry, John, you don't give me as many recommendations as the other two do.
Yeah, you got to step up your game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a good point. Like, all right, so we bring interesting people on, our friends and just other people who we don't know. You guys are obviously friends. But you've been friends a little longer, I think, than Carolyn. You and I have been friends. So why don't you give us that little bit of backstory? Because like I feel like Father Putzer, I feel like you're a part of the family, but I talk to you like once a year, right? I just kind of get the updates and from Carolyn and
and vice versa.
But you definitely feel like a part of the family. So.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, and I've come to find that that's a sign of a true and good friendship as well. Despite how much time passes and how much or how little you talk, how you can just come back and fall into a groove, and things are just as they were, despite the changes in everyone's lives. To be able to relate so openly and honestly with one another, so I appreciate that from you, Ryan, and from your entire family. But I'll leave the floor to Carolyn, since I've been monopolizing it so far, a monopoly deal. But she can explain how we first met and what our lives were like back then.
See, there's a little bit of a discrepancy here because we talked about this. Because my first memory, like actual memory of him, was walking on the street to go to, like walking on State Street to go to lunch. And he said we actually met in the library at St. Paul's. And I don't actually have a solid memory of that. So there's a little bit of a gap, but it was probably like 10-minute gap, really, when it comes into it. So by that point I was a sophomore. So Ryan, you and I had met. John, you and I had met. And then Father John was a freshman. So we were, it was after Mass, and there was a group of people that would often go to Chadbourne to the cafeteria there after Mass. It was a really fun, very casual way to get to know people and just enjoy some good time with each other. So that was kind of the situation where someone had started talking to Father John, and they said, hey, we're going to do this thing. Well, John at the time. And so we're going to go do this thing, come have lunch with us. And so that was kind of the beginning when I had met him. So, you really, though, weren't in Madison all that much. Like, the majority of the time that we had known each other, you have been elsewhere. And I think that's a really interesting thing, that for most people, like Ryan, you and I have been in Madison for the entire time we've known each other. So it's a very different kind of situation, where Father John has been at Seton Hall, and then in Belgium. And then in Belgium, I was like, all right, well, he'll come back and it'll be great. And then 2 years later, he was gone. And so there's just been a very distinct, long distance kind of quality to that. I do appreciate, by the way, whenever you pull his thing up, it still says co-conspirator. And I really appreciate that, because if someone is
you're still a smuggler.
Yeah, mine's still smuggler. So it's very confusing to someone, I think.
I'm just here so that people get the wrong idea when they tune in.
I'm okay with it, though, for the record.
Secretary second class and
Co-conspirator.
co-conspirator. What's that all about?
You're okay with that.
And I don't even know, Father, if I knew you back then. I knew of you. I knew of Putzer from everybody. I didn't even know you as John until maybe after that. And then by that time, you were probably, Deacon Putzer or whatever. But yeah, we didn't know each other then. I'm pretty sure I just knew of you, but just through this kind of organization, we started hanging out when you would come back. And nowadays, I think there's even times where we're hanging out with Carolyn and we're texting you messages and stuff. And it's so much fun.
Yeah, I agree. I had heard of you. I knew of you back in my time in Madison, but I don't recall having met you. I do. Just to add to Carolyn's explanation of where we met, I had been attending daily mass, actually, at St. Paul's University Catholic Center in Madison while I was a student, freshman, studying chemical engineering, actually. For at least 2-3 weeks. And it was interesting because when I first arrived to Madison to move in, my parents moved me down, and there was St. Paul's had set up a table outside the dorm that I was staying in. And Jessica Strick, now Jessica Carano, was manning that table. And my dad ran into her first, and so she was talking to him about the programs that St. Paul's had going on, and my dad said, "Oh, can I take some of these brochures? I'm sure my son would love to attend mass and to get involved." And Jessie told me later that she said to herself, "Yeah, I'm sure. It's just another parent that wants his son to get involved and stay in a good community and whatnot." And then he brought me down and introduced me to her, and I was all excited. And she said, "Oh, yeah," and so she was surprised at my interest. But I was attending mass without really having any other interaction at St. Paul's for 2-3 weeks. And then Jessie came up to me after one daily mass and said, "Hey, I've seen you coming to mass for a while. Would you like to meet some of the people who are here?" And then she took me into the library of the University Center and the St. Paul Center. And Carolyn was there eating lunch. And she was extraordinarily hospitable. "Hey, welcome. It's great to see you. I've seen you at mass. It's wonderful to finally meet you." And so it was a very, very warm and welcoming first impression of the other aspect of St. Paul's beyond the sacraments. So I was really appreciative of that.
I did also give him his nickname that I learned many years later he didn't quite appreciate, but I didn't know because because one quality of Father John is that he will often just kind of like roll with it. And so if something is not pleasing to him, he will often just roll with it because he's too kind to say anything. And so John Rampton was one of the people who was in that caravan of people walking there. And we were like, well, his name is John too. And what's your middle name? My name is David. Like, well, okay, so JDP, your initials are JDP. We can just call you JDP. And like for me, nicknames are a sign of affection, right? Like, unless it's a bad nickname, unless if someone's calling you something really derogatory. But if you give someone a nickname, in my world, it's like there's like you're a part of the herd, the tribe, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was like a decade and a half later. He's like, yeah, I really like that. I was like, what?
It's not that I don't like it. It's just that I hadn't chosen it, but I've grown to like it. And it does bring back very fond memories of my time at St. Paul's, which were short, as you mentioned, Carolyn. I was only there for 2 years, and then I was off to Seton Hall for seminary studies, and then to Belgium for more seminary studies before coming back as a priest to Sun Prairie. But no, I do. I thoroughly appreciate the affection that was shown to me by giving me that nickname, JDP.
That was definitely one of the ways that I knew. So I was thinking like, you know, Putzer has been one of those too, and it might be like Carano calls you Putzer, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, Carolyn always said JDP, and there was other people, to the point where I think at one point I realized that was the same person. You were the same person.
Yeah, I think James Carano did not like that I was being called JDP for whatever reason, and so he said, "I'm not going to call you that. You're Putzer." So that's stuck. Shout out to Athena as well. I really enjoyed those late night Settlers games. It was a blast, and I wish we could reenact sometime those meetings.
I don't think most people pick their nicknames, in my experience.
Nope.
No.
You come in and
JDP really is. JDP is a pretty innocuous nickname. So
yeah,
come in and say, yeah, this is, you guys can call me this, and then the group just takes it. They're like, nope, we're calling you something else.
Yep.
Yeah, that was funny. I was on a shoot 2 weeks ago in studio. So we're at Backflip. This is our studio. John and I own it with another partner. But we were in kind of a support role for the show. This is for the Wisconsin dairy farmers, I believe, through Stephan and Brady, an agency working with Daniel Kinney of the Diligent Company and Jordan Post, good friend of ours. Anyway, I'm usually in charge of things. In this case, I was just support. So it was really, really fun to be around that. And I was in the audience during run-throughs, and you can't really react because you'll be picked up on sound. And this was before we decided, hey, you got to clap, you got to, make noise and joke around so that it feels better on the live stream. So the host is doing his thing and looks over at me and then starts joking. And he's like, what's with dead eyes over here? I'm getting nothing from this guy. So he just gave me that nickname, awesome. Dead Eyes, which is awesome because it's like Carolyn's favorite podcast that I have yet to watch that my wife Monica has watched. But then I just love that. I just owned it.
That's funny. That's funny. About the Dead Eyes podcast, Carolyn has been hounding me to listen to it for some time now. And I have to say that it's taken me. I didn't get into it, so I think I'm only on like the second episode, but it's fun and funny, I guess, but I haven't really gotten the same joy out of it as Carolyn hasn't. And so I'm sure I'll get around to it at some point, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it more as the episodes go on. But I have to say, I'm sorry, Carolyn, but now you have to defend the Dead Eyes podcast.
This is the third time I've talked about the Dead Eyes podcast on the Backflip Happy Hour. I've been on the Backflip Happy Hour, and I didn't bring it up this time. This is now me initiating it, so thank you for that.
100%. I'm here for you.
I know, right? I think it speaks. There's forms of art that speak to your soul, and different people will have different reactions to things. And so you go to an art museum, and I might be really taken by some kind of painting, and I could spend an hour just sitting in front of that painting, and you guys might be like, "All right, see ya. We're gonna going." And I think that's the Dead Eyes podcast for me, because the pop culture references, the things that he's talking about, and I think the emotion that's undergirded in it is just like, oh, it just spoke to me so much. And sometimes he'll mention these random people. I'm like, what? I love that person. That's so crazy that like that person's on your podcast. This is insane. And so I think there's something like very immediate. And I just love Band of Brothers. So like that, I was sold immediately when my brother told me about it. I'm like, yep, I'll listen to it. It'll be great. And then it unfolded in a way that I didn't even realize. And my brother too is like, you're way more of an evangelist than I am about this. He used the word evangelist. I was like, yes, I am. So everyone should listen to it. Give it a
call
shot.
you Lady Pope.
Lady Pope.
Yeah, you get like 10% of every sale from the podcast. So
No,
you're incentivized.
I should be.
That's what you should be called now. Incentivize.
Call Connor Rattler.
I see what
Get
you
him
did
on
there.
the phone.
Yeah. So he started calling me Dead Eyes, and I was at first I was like, no, I can't react because we're trying not to make noise and stop looking over at me. But then when we were actually live and they're like, no, we need sound. I had taken off my mask in the studio because I was like, we can't interact if you can't see my face. So I'm going to take this off. No one's around me. Everything's fine, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm going to smile. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to be the biggest advocate for you. And I think there's a lot of energy. I think he got a lot of energy from that because I was one of like two people who was actually looking at him. But it was great. He just kept calling me Dead Eyes. And then the next day, so that was the rehearsal. The next day I come in and he's like, I didn't realize you owned this whole place. And in my head, I was like, would you have treated me differently?
Probably.
I just like that. I was like, I snuck under the radar and, could just joke around and
Like an
just
undercover
owned it.
boss moment.
Yeah. No, that was so much fun.
Me, like as soon as that happened, he texted me and Monica at the same time, like, oh my gosh, someone just called me Dead Eyes, and I was delighted. That made my day.
Yeah, Carolyn's like one of the few people that I'll text when something interesting happens. If Monica's not there, she'll probably be the first, but then Carolyn, she's probably a close second to when something happens.
Yeah, with the three of us, and then they just like
shoot
it up to both of us.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We do have that one chat just to simplify it.
Not to cut Carolyn out as an intermediary, but you're more than welcome to just text me about interesting things that happen in your day too.
Yes, but I have to WhatsApp you or some kind of Chinese.
You could actually text me as well.
We could create a little group. We could create a new WhatsApp group.
I'm fairly certain that's going to happen within 2 minutes after this the show finishing up. So,
and it's going to be called Dead Eyes.
Or maybe Incentive Eyes.
Yeah, JD J Dead Eyes or JD Incentive Eyes. You got to combine them all. And John, you need some kind of a nickname. What was your nickname that you hated or that you loved?
Well, people did the ginger thing, which was the one that
was just not kind.
Well, I didn't. So it was weird. It wasn't a thing in our high school. So people, when I would meet them in college, would be like, oh, ginger or whatever. They would like make these references. And then it was like a very weird dynamic where it was sort of clear that they were using a nickname that they were sort of trying to be negative to me with, but I didn't have the reaction to it because it was just like I hadn't seen the South Park episode that kind of like made it this like ridiculous thing. It was just like, oh yeah, I don't know. People never called me that. Like it was like a weird, awkward. Yeah, so that's like, I mean, just to your question of like a nickname that I didn't like or nobody's ever used with me. But
Well, yeah, and sometimes nicknames, can designate you if there's multiple people with your name.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, Carolyn, with you, like we have Care, but I think people just remember you, and you're just Carolyn.
In high school, though, my freshman year, there was a group of people that started calling me Carrie. And at a certain point, it was like months into high school, I remember asking one of them, why do you call me Carrie? Because I don't mind it, but it's your name. He's like, I mean, you've made it my name. It's okay. And they were so worried that they were like offending me. And I was totally fine with it because, again, it's like a sign of affection. It was just like a friendly thing that they were saying to me. And so throughout all of high school, half the people called me Carrie and half called me Carolyn. And it was really just dependent upon who you met, who knew me, and what they called me. And so it was like a very confusing thing because people would refer to me as one to a person who knew me as the other. And then it was very confusing about who they were talking to. And then it kind of clicked for them. So really,
it's like JDP and Putzer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you gave me that nickname a long time. I mean, probably in college, you probably started calling me that for some reason. And it's great. But you're the only one who calls me that.
Well, I wonder too if it was like you saying Rye, or it was one or the other. Like the more you say Rye, the more I say Care.
Then you would do it like that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Well, that might be it because I call my brother Bri sometimes, Brian. And so maybe it was like a version of that. I don't know. It was too long ago.
That's fun. Yeah, because we met at St. Paul's. What did we decide yesterday or the day before? Was it 2000? Let's see.
Junior year.
2004. I
think it was the spring
2004, 2005. Yeah.
And we probably all of us met in the same place. Like all of us probably met in the library at St. Paul's.
Oh yeah.
Because I do remember you, Ryan, in the library. Like I remember meeting you in there too.
And then we had class, and let's see.
And you brought me a Diet Coke if I gave you the Sudoku every day for the rest of class.
For the rest of that semester.
And you were surprised because you didn't expect that I was actually going to do it. I was like, well, you told me
that was awesome.
That was the bargain. Yeah. So like
a challenge.
Pretty much.
Yeah, obviously it was super unfair, but that was awesome.
I got the short end of that stick. But I learned how to do the Sudoku because it was all rage that year. Like that's when it really started becoming a thing. Yeah. And so we would do the Sudoku in our Pauline Christianity class. And then Brad Free has to be like, welcome to class. When we would put our thing away and we'd rejoin.
Who's now a police officer. Yeah, I remember that class too. It was so much fun to kind of explore because it was like theology and philosophy and writing. And I remember busting out. What's that?
And theology that was sometimes questionable,
Yeah. Well, and I remember busting out that outline that one time and like, boom, here you go. And you had probably spent, more than just the hour before class. And it was like, please revise. You're like, what the fuck? This is not fair.
No. I was writing a 70-page thesis at the time for my senior year colloquium. And then this dude was like, write just like a little outline. I was like, why? What's the point of this? This is so dumb. Whatever. So I did the outline. And then he gave me a C. And I was like, no, that's not happening. Like, clearly there's a disconnect because I'm not getting a C on this stupid assignment. And so then I went down because you were just dying. You're like cracking up. And I went down to the front of the class to talk to him. I was like, hey, I feel like I maybe didn't understand quite what you were going for. This is what I was doing. Could I do a revision and maybe you could regrade it? And he was like, well, yeah. And then you the whole time were just like watching me because you thought this was like the greatest spectacle ever.
You should have just gone up there and been like, see that guy? There's no way that guy is doing better than me on this. So we got to figure this out.
And so then he like begrudgingly let me like a favor. He was doing me such a favor. That's why I hate
a bit of a favor, I have to say.
No. But the way that he was doing it, like sometimes TAs are a little big for their britches. You know what I mean? Like they feel mad with power, like these petty tyrants of African countries, and so I
can work with that.
And so he was just like making it to this big deal, and I was like, whatever, I will placate you. I will follow along with. I'll play your little game. I'm not getting a C. It didn't matter at all. Like legitimately did not matter. It was our senior year. I was graduating. It was like April, but I cared so much.
Also, to that
Your
point, I think
care.
I would do good with the warlords. So if you ever need some help.
Congo.
I think we all would do.
Oh, Congo.
Congo,
Yeah.
Congo. Wow.
So we
That was
haven't
a
actually
cheers.
talked about that yet,
No, we haven't.
Yeah.
Weird.
but
Take us
so that's
away.
a fun story
Father.
too. I mean, especially since it's a happy hour. I
Yeah.
feel like this is a great anecdote.
Oh,
So
I'm gonna run and grab a sparkling water, but I can still hear. And John
excellent.
will be
All
here
right.
just in case
So,
anything goes terribly wrong.
Or I'll be here in case anything goes terrible.
as smuggler and co-producer.
Pretty much.
No, so this anecdote, shortly after I had arrived to Kinshasa, to the nunciature there in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, we had the president and the vice president of the Episcopal Conference over for dinner to talk about the political situation that's going on in the country. But as in many Latin languages, the way that one toasts is by saying chin chin, which is like an onomatopoeia of like clinking the glasses. But the president of the Episcopal Conference said, well, why would I say chin chin? Because in French, the word for China is Xin, which is very similar to Chin. So why would I toast to China when I can just toast to my own country? So instead of saying Chin Chin, he would always say Congo. So I've thoroughly embraced that initiative and integrated it into most aspects of my life.
And evangelize it. You have
Congo.
the aspect of culture with many people. And I would say maybe I rival you in how many people I've shared it with. People who don't know you.
In honor of Saint Matthias, whose feast it is today, you were the one that was chosen by God and indicated by the casting of votes to continue on the mission of one who had failed before. So,
I mean, we don't have to take it so literally, but yes, I'll accept everything up until the failure part.
Fair enough.
But it's it's such a great cultural thing. I mean, most people will never get to go to the DRC, but I feel like, well, I personally am just very curious about the world. I really enjoy learning. What's that, Brian?
Get to go.
Have the opportunity to go. But it's really fun for me to learn about different cultures and the ways that people do things. And from a very young age, I realized that people are really fundamentally the same. And we all have these things in common. And we have ways of doing things, ways of celebrating, ways of mourning, ways of just being. And so it's really fun when you get to encounter something like that and that kind of national pride, especially for a country like the DRC, there has been a lack of that kind of national sensibility. And so I feel like I love the people of the Congo, even though I was never in the Congo. But you get to know them in these kinds of ways through these
Congolese at heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But you get to know people through their culture and through drink and food and all these different kinds of things. And so I love the Congo. And then it became our friend Father Tate was sent to Rome, and so he felt left out, and he might be watching this on Facebook. And so he was feeling left out when he went to Rome. He's like, well, what about me? So we added
Roma.
And then that became a thing. So Congo is definitely a very integral part of our drinking culture. Meaning our, like
these all sound a lot more elegant than USA.
Yeah.
America.
Yeah. Well, and then you left the Congo. So do we still say Congo? Do we say Switzer? Or
no.
Switzer has not really caught on. I'm still a fan of Congo.
Yes.
So.
It just works. Yeah.
It does.
I mean, Geneva was a very short-lived kind of homage.
Oh, you did do that once. Yeah.
Yeah. But like really it's Congo. Like it's the classic. It's kind of like Kleenex and tissues. No one calls it a facial tissue. It's a Kleenex. So Congo, Congo.
I love where these discussions go.
And I think that is a good segue into a little game that Carolyn Averill came up with for this session, named Switzerland or Congo. In which
I've got a graphic. Yeah,
That was a great segue, Father. I wasn't sure who was going to do it. I'm glad that it was you.
He took the initiative. He's a go-getter. I was talking to Ryan on Monday, and I don't know, we were just talking about the event, and I said, somehow I got the idea to play this game because I think it's a very fun, I don't know, you get to learn something about the countries, and it's very relevant to the topic. And so I went home that night, and I just kind of like typed away a couple questions, sent them to Father John. He added a couple, and I thought we could make it a little competition. We thought we'd make it a little competition.
I also want to be clear, like we get along so well. You're up here. We get along so well, and just conversation is so great. And, I think there's a lot of reasons we're friends, but one of the reasons too is like, I feel like we're both doers. And once an idea comes in, it's like, boom, gonna make it happen, gonna do it.
Yep.
And so as soon as you came up with that idea, you're like, hey, what do you think of this and this and that? And then boom, you go and you start doing it. You don't wait until Thursday or Friday morning. Like you're already thinking about it and already working on it. I'm the procrastinator, but we're both doers. So I appreciate that about you and you guys.
Well, it's also kind of like what's fun, like when something is really enjoyable, you don't mind the work and the effort it takes. And like, honestly, this wasn't much effort because there are a number of things I know about the Congo. I know way more about the Congo than the average person who's never been there, So it was really easy for me and a lot of fun. But I think it's fun. People at home can play. It's a little competition for Ryan and John, and who doesn't love a competition to the death?
Yes.
That's what it turned into.
No, I'm pretty sure.
So now the real question
one of us
is,
will
Carolyn,
die.
Who's going to get the odd questions and who's going to get the even questions?
Well, as
who's more odd?
I am asking the odd because I am more odd sometimes than Father John is.
Odder?
Odder, more odd. So, our first question in the new game to the back.
Wait. Let's see.
Let's
see how this
explain the
goes.
game a little bit first.
Oh, sorry. It's a very simple game. So really the explanation is pretty simple. We are going to play a game called Switzerland or Congo, as you have on the graphic. We are going to be giving you questions, and you have to answer, is it Switzerland or the Congo, to the question you are being asked. So these are all questions that are...
We should have made these into captions.
I know. I thought about making graphics, and I ran.
I'll type as you ask the question.
Yes. I mean, I could also just like copy and paste.
Now, both of these are real places.
Both of them are real.
As it turns out, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Switzerland is like a fantasy place in the mountains.
Yeah. There was that one family that built those tree houses.
Yep.
Switzerland Family
Robinson.
Switzerland Family Robinson, I believe. Yes. All right. Well, for our first question, let's pull this up.
Oh, nice.
So who's it being directed to?
Well, I mean, they both have to answer, don't they?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And the folks at home, you can answer too. And
Answer the comments.
if whoever is watching, if you beat us, maybe we'll send you something.
You can send one of those hats. Those hats are nice.
And we're making coasters. So Hannah's like working at a maker space to make coasters. Yeah, we'll definitely send you some coasters. I don't think they have the printed things on them. I think she just cut them out, but she's going to laser them and print them and like, ooh,
nice.
It's perfect for a happy hour. Yeah.
All right. So for our first
So
question.
then there's not going to be any response, like an oral response to these questions. Is that correct? They're just going to write them down.
I think we have to give them like a 1, 2, 3, and they have to say it at the same time to make it fair. We didn't really produce this much beforehand, by the way.
No, that's what I love about being live.
Right.
Awesome.
A very simple quiz that turned into a very complicated.
I'm glad you started the game off early. I was planning on starting around 1:15, but because we had to talk through the rules and what the heck we were doing, that was a good move, Father.
That's a lie. You would have started the game at 1:45.
That's true. The conversation was going well.
Chatty Cathy's here. All right. So I'll read the question first. We'll think about it for a second, and then tell me when you have your answers. So our first question in Switzerland or Congo is, in which country can you buy a fast casual hamburger for the equivalent of $25 US dollars, that is? Switzerland or Congo?
All right, I'm ready. Do you want to go 1, 2, 3, or what do we do?
I think so. Johnny, you ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
No, not JDP. Not JDP, the ginger.
Oh yeah, that's right. There are two Johns here, so I'm JDP now, and so
See? It was a very prescient move on my part all those years ago. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Switzerland.
Ooh.
Trick
So-
question. There's no such thing as a casual hamburger. Thank you.
Fast casual.
Nice
Fast
job.
casual. The answer is Switzerland. If you go to a Five Guys restaurant in Geneva, Switzerland, you can buy just a hamburger, nothing else, for 25 USD.
Nice.
Mhm.
again, you are most welcome to come to Switzerland to visit me.
Renew the invitation.
And, you know, I was going off of like, okay, do they have fast food like that? Probably in a major city, you could maybe get more American food like that in the Congo, but it's probably going to be really expensive in Switzerland because at the beginning of the show, you said it's very expensive in
I
Switzerland.
did. I also said that it was surprisingly expensive in Congo, and it is true. Like if you were to buy,
No, I stopped paying attention at that point.
Yeah, as one does. But I mean, I don't know. They don't actually have like a casual fast food hamburger equivalent in the Congo that I'm in Kinshasa, at least that I'm aware of. And if they did, it probably would be around $10 to $15, probably not 25, but it's more expensive than one would anticipate.
I'm going to change it to anyone who answers a correct answer, you get a coaster. We'll make it a little easier.
Does Emily get a raise if she got it correct?
She'll get a whole slew of coasters so that she can hand them out. Emily is awesome. She also works
An
for
evangelist.
us. Exactly.
Well done, Emily. All right, I think we're ready for
All
another
right, question number 2. In which country, Switzerland or Congo, is the mineral malachite, which has been used in jewelry making for thousands of years, so prevalent in some towns that the dust on the ground is actually green?
Trick question. Everyone knows that's an island in Hawaii.
Malachi. Yes.
It's too long. It's
Yep.
too long.
Malachite.
Oh, you can't put it on the question there?
I tried splitting it up, and it's too long.
Trick question that
Um,
only exists in comics. We all know that Superman can't touch it, and
False.
He's highly allergic to malachite. All right, let's give our
Are you ready?
people at home. Yeah. Also, I think there's like a 10 or 15-second delay. So we just want to
Sure.
make sure we give the people at home a chance
That's true.
to
Fair enough.
answer. We've got Emily and Matt Ebersol. Is that a friend of one of you guys?
Yeah.
I know Matt.
Yep.
Nice.
From the parish in some prairie.
Awesome. Hey, Matt, thanks for joining. If you get this one right, you're going to get some swag.
Cool. A coaster.
You laugh, but you want one.
I do.
Want one?
I want several, actually.
Yeah, you guys will get
Coaster,
several.
coaster.
I will
Actually, we
hand
have
deliver
quotes.
them. I will hand deliver the coasters if Backflip pays for my flight.
There might be I mean, that sounds worth it. There might be a quote from Carolyn on our coaster. Yeah.
There we go.
So, hey, Father, play your cards right. You get to be a coaster as well.
You get to be a coaster.
Huzzah!
You get to be a coaster.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right.
So, in which country
3,
are you guys ready?
2, 1.
Congo.
Congo.
You are correct. I will just bring over briefly.
Hold on.
I hope you can hear me. An example of the malachite of which I'm referring.
I
to
brought
which I'm
props
referring.
too.
Props.
Props. Yep.
This is a map of the Congo, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
So,
really pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking.
So it's all
you know,
Congo with copper. Also, in the same region where the malachite is very common, copper is also very common. So
Ah,
Fun fact.
yeah, I just thought I know. I forget what it was. Some kind of really awesome green stone for Monica from. It was in California, but it came from Mexico. So I was like, that type of geology sounds like a southern thing. Doesn't sound like something you get in Switzerland.
There's a lot of mining, though. So it's kind of a tricky question. It could be a tricky question.
And interestingly enough, the reason why the stone is green is because of the oxidized copper. So as you may be aware, copper, when it oxidizes, turns green. And so that's why the stone becomes green, and also the dust in the streets, as the question indicated.
Ah.
And I actually learned this fact from other than Father John. So I learned it from my friend Barb, who was also in the Congo at the same time. And she was the one who actually mentioned something like in her area where she was in a very different part of the country. And she made a comment about being green. And then I think I went back to you and I was like, why did you never tell me this? This is so cool.
And then I went on a tour of the entire Nunsuture and showed her all the malachite that we have, which is significant.
Significant.
Oh, very cool.
Which only made me say, wait, why didn't you tell me all the more? It was literally everywhere.
Also, she was supposed to come to Mass at the Nunsuture. She never did.
I tried.
But on to the question number 3.
All right, third question.
And real quick, Emily and Matt, you both got it right. Great job.
Nice.
You're both getting coasters.
Yes. Okay, let's pull the caption back up. All right. Next question. In which country is the capital city directly across the border to the capital city of an adjacent country?
Could it be a more generic question? I love it.
Well, also,
this could be any country.
Could it? Is Washington D.C.?
The game is Congo or Switzerland or Switzerland or Congo.
Exactly.
Also,
so you've narrowed
Carolyn's
down
going to say
the
something
answer.
important.
Important note. Their
Okay.
bonus point. If you can name both the capitals to the two countries.
And the names of the countries.
Ooh.
So in order to get the bonus point, you need to be able to name not only the capitals and but the capitals of both the countries and the countries themselves.
Correct. Think about your geography classes.
Oh
Fifth
boy.
grade.
So we can't
I
look at
suggest
the
for
answers.
this particular one with the bonus points, you should write it down and then hold it up.
Ooh,
Okay.
good call.
Yeah. Well, like on an iPad, I don't know how to write stuff.
I mean, whatever you got.
Yeah.
Whatever
Like
you
a
got.
piece of the tree that has been killed.
Or in the private chat if you want, but
Ooh, we could private chat.
I don't have paper. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type it on my phone and then I'll
I
hold
don't
it
have paper. That is a very millennial kind of comment to make, and I love it.
up. An elder millennial.
Elder millennial. Also, younger millennial.
so it's worth 1 bonus point if you get, but you have to have both of the names of the countries correct and the names of the capitals.
If we mess up one of the countries,
Well, then you don't get the bonus points.
You can still get the normal point, but then you won't get the bonus point.
Mm-hmm.
sure. Yeah, this is tough. We're both
I don't want
going
to say anything. 'Cause I
to.
don't want to give anything away.
You're not supposed to be looking up online what the answer is.
Yeah, don't look at the chat, John.
I'm gonna hold up like a Wikipedia article.
You're right.
There you go.
Okay, I've got mine, but my geography is probably terrible. You got yours, John?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Absolutely.
I can't say anything that Ryan
Can't
has.
see Ryan, can't
Oh,
see it.
hang on.
Yeah,
I'm
Ryan,
gonna
yours is
share.
terrible.
He's changing
Hang on.
it. He's changing it.
Mine
Okay, I'll
too.
tell you. Hands are
I
up.
won.
I
Okay.
said Congo and Kinshasa and Cairo and Egypt.
Absolutely not.
I'm trying to think of like
Here's the
Absolutely
capitals and
not.
countries that I
You
know.
You got the first point. So Congo is the Congo is the capital, the country that has a capital city directly across the border from it. But surprisingly enough, and this is something that some people might not know, there's another Congo. So the DRC is the DRC because there's the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which is the bigger of the Congos. But then there's also the Republic of the Congo, which has a capital city called Brazzaville, which is directly across the river from the Congo River from Kinshasa. So Kinshasa is the capital of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Brazzaville is the capital of the Republic of the Congo. So John doesn't get any points. Ryan gets 1 point for getting it correct.
Congo.
John gets
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. So John and Ryan both get 1 point, but no one gets any bonus points.
I feel like half a bonus point. I had Kinshasa.
You needed to get them all.
Here's the thing. Ryan did a great job because Ryan has played Pandemic Legacy many times.
And that's basically why I know Kinshasa.
And that's why he has Kinshasa, which is not a bad thing. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
And every time something bad would happen in Kinshasa in the game, we'd be like, ooh, oh, sorry, man. Sorry.
Congo.
It's right here.
Congo. All right. Next question.
Oh, that's me, I guess.
Mhm.
I have to reopen my thing. One of the two has a Catholic population of roughly 37% of its total population, and the other is about 60% Catholic. Which country is 37% Catholic, and which is 60% Catholic?
There's some discrepancy.
Wait,
I did mention this to you, Carolyn, but
Yeah, but I didn't know what you wanted to put.
yeah.
One of the two has a
Okay.
Catholic population of roughly 37% of its total population. The other is about 60%. Which country is 37%? Okay, so
So name the country in your answer.
that has more.
Yeah, that has more. So name the country when we count down that has more.
Okay. I'm ready. Are you ready, John?
Should we give it a second for the chat?
3, 2.
Oh, wait. Do we
One.
want to give more seconds for the chat?
Wait.
There's a delay. That's
Yeah.
the problem. Yep.
Are you
All right,
flipping your
Emily,
West
Emily
Veteran
has
12?
voted.
Yeah. That's my West veteran cap.
Don't lose it.
Like it.
All right. Do we have any answers in chat yet?
Emily has answered in the chat.
Okay. Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Congo.
You are correct.
Yeah.
1 point for each.
It's I think it's surprising to people sometimes that the Congo is as Catholic as it is. And I like that. I like surprising.
I guess
people.
Well, I
it kind of
didn't know,
makes
but I know Switzerland. Switzerland is a pushover. So
Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Father
well-
John can neither confirm nor deny as a diplomat.
I also feel like
I can probably confirm that.
in our more developed kind of Western or European countries, we're seeing just crazy numbers go down. But I feel like in places that aren't as globalized, we still see a good quantity. So that's kind of where I went with it.
Yep.
All right. Our next question. It became number 6 in the editing of this, but it's not really number 6. 1 second here. 1 second. I'm just copying and pasting because otherwise it's going to be like a thunderstorm in the Congo that you're going to hear if I start typing.
Very intense, by the way.
Very intense thunderstorm.
That's where we discover the cancer cure, I believe. If movies have taught me anything, right?
Things happen in the
Exactly.
Congo. Yep. All right.
Never bound.
Next question. Which country is known for its rich supplies of gold, tungsten, and tin, minerals used in electronics like cell phones and laptops?
Oh yeah.
You guys have your answers? You seem very
I'm
confident.
ready. Let's wait
John,
for the
you
folks
ready?
at home.
Oh, that's right. That's a good call.
I think I'm ready.
Let's
John,
wait for the Emily at home.
The
Matt,
Emily
if
at
you're
home.
out there, come on.
Emily at home. It's like Emily in Paris, but not horrible.
Yeah. Also, Matt, if you're still there, you got to send us a message or DM or something with your address, and we'll send you some stuff.
I mean, I have it.
Oh, no, you got to work for it.
I can't guarantee I'll have everyone's address who might be watching this show at some point in the future, but
Carolyn knows everyone.
that I could
Pretty much.
procure.
If there's one thing I've learned over the past 15 years, it's that.
18.
18 years.
Who's counting?
Apparently you.
Always. Yeah. All right. Emily has answered the question. So, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Congo?
Yeah.
Yes.
See, there's been so many Congo that I was like, it can't keep being Congo.
Can't
It should be
all be
Switzerland.
Congo,
Is
right?
it
Yeah.
tricky? Is it?
But
I think my point counts higher than his point on that one.
Because of the confidence.
Yeah, the confidence.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll give you 1.1.
That might make the difference in the end.
It might make a difference. I'd be careful about that.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're getting a lot of those rare earth minerals out of Africa.
Also,
Well, and that's
fun
fair.
fact. I mean, maybe it's not so fun actually, but the uranium that was used in the bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki was extracted from Congo.
Oh, wow.
Not fun.
So
but
not a fun fact, but it is an interesting fact nonetheless. And it also made the Congo a very desirable place for both the Soviets and for the Americans throughout the entirety of the Cold War period.
Wow.
And it's also, part of the cause of a lot of conflict. You have all these mines,
Indeed.
they're very lucrative. And so you have companies and you have practices that are not good. And a lot of people who are being taken advantage of. So that's kind of a large factor in some of the sourcing of these materials for things that we use, things that we are presently using. So there are a lot of situations going on in the Congo.
Another one of those minerals is cobalt. Cobalt is also very, very rich in the eastern part of the Congolese territory.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Anyway, next question.
Anywho.
Here we go.
Which country has more official languages?
Ooh,
Congo
you
or
guys are
Switzerland?
screwing with us again.
Always.
And forever.
Let's see. So, I guess we could talk it out afterwards. Let's see.
This word choice is specific. I think we can.
It is
say that.
intentional.
Intentional.
Got it. That changed my answer.
Did John, do you have an answer?
I think so.
Ready?
Do we have an Emily answer yet?
Ooh, good call. Sorry. Let's look.
That's
Look
all
in
right.
the
I'm not
chat.
looking because I don't want it to influence
You
my.
did answer.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Switzerland.
You're both correct. Switzerland
Official,
has 4
yeah.
official languages: French, German, Italian, and Romansh, which is a bit of a combination of like German and Latin. The DRC actually has only 1 official language: French. However, that being
wow.
said, there are an additional 4 national languages: Kikongo, Lingala, Swahili, and Chiluba. In addition to those 4 national languages, there are about 240 tribal languages that are present in the country.
Right. That's what I was going with
So-
until you said it's very carefully worded.
Maybe I
Yes.
should have said that. I kinda-
So well intuited, I have to say.
That's what they call me.
Well intuited.
Yep, that's my nickname.
All right. The nickname
All right.
we gave.
Also, Dead Eyes.
I'll take that.
I'll keep that in mind.
Oh, do you think I can get on the Dead Eyes podcast? Yeah.
Because of my intuition that people call me Dead Eyes.
I think you're gonna have to do a little bit more than just having Dead Eyes as a nickname to get on that particular highly successful podcast.
Really? I mean, it seems like anybody gets to go on there.
Are you John Hamm? Are you Elijah Wood? Because then yes.
Yes. yes to all these questions.
He is the Green Lantern.
It's true.
Didn't know that.
You should have recognized it immediately.
In
All right,
darkest
next
day,
question.
brightest night. I don't know how it goes.
The princess? All right, next question. Which has the higher population, Switzerland or the capital of Congo?
Oh boy, that's a toughie. Since we know so much about these places.
If you're me, you do.
Fair enough.
This was actually Father John's question, and I did not know the answer to this question.
Didn't you?
No. No.
Ooh, this could make or break us, John.
There's a lot of thinking going on for this one. I'm a little
Mm-hmm.
surprised. Kevin Putzer has guessed.
All right.
Nice.
Sounds like
I
a relative.
Sounds like
Does sound like a relative. He is my
Probably.
younger brother.
Nice.
Emily has also guessed.
Okay.
So
Kevin
I think
said-
Kevin Putzer should get some swag if he gets it correctly.
He does.
Absolutely.
He gets that. That I could actually deliver in a more timely fashion than to you. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm ready. Are you ready, John?
Yep.
All right. The answer is the capital of the Congo. Oh shit! Oh,
Yes. Capital of the
You were
Congo.
not supposed to do that.
moving ahead. Oh
Are we on the honor system?
no! Honor
Are we
system.
on-
Honor system. What were you gonna say?
Congo.
Yeah.
All right.
I've ruined
I mean,
it.
so it doesn't really matter. We both picked the same thing, so
You
wipe
just
it.
jumped
On the
ahead.
honor system, but yes.
Do you think we're lying?
No.
I think
No.
Ryan was going to say Switzerland on that one. I'm
You what,
Congo,
John?
Congo.
pretty sure Ryan was going to say Switzerland.
Now, why? Why did you ultimately arrive at the answer Congo?
Why did I?
Mhm.
There's nothing going on in Switzerland.
Just
A lot of mountains. Not
in a
many
diplomatic fashion, I don't think I should answer that question, but not that it was a question.
people.
Yeah, it seemed like Congo is just more populous. Again, you get
There you go,
you get
Kevin.
more developed countries and like lower birth rates and things like that. So I just figured like Congo, there's got to be a ton of people.
Right? So, Carolyn, you should add some information to this.
I was going to ask if you wanted to. So the problem with these numbers, now Congo is very populous, so the answer is correct. You can have confidence that this answer that I gave before you made your answers is correct. But one unique aspect of the Congo, we'll say unique in diplomatic kind of phraseology, is that there hasn't been a census in 40 some years.
Oh wow.
So what are the real numbers?
Estimated
Well,
numbers, sure.
Depending on who you ask, there might be different numbers. I'm off here. There might be some different numbers, but there's some data. I mean, the Catholic Church is one of the ways that you actually know some data about
Indeed.
the country, where the government has maybe not paid attention to some of these things, not done some of these things. The Catholic Church has sort of stepped in and done some of them.
Hidden information on some of these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So anyway, what is the range, Carolyn, of what the populations might be?
So the population, the capital of the Congo, Kinshasa, the range is between 11 and 16 million, just for the capital city. Yes. And now this is all anecdotal from the guy in that side, right there, that box. But it's you have these very kind of wealthy areas, this very concentrated part where like the president lives and where the news teacher and the embassies are. And then you have a lot of what are essentially slums. I mean, they're just very poor accommodations, very not a lot of clean water, not good access to food, things like that. So it's a very polar city of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're
And
fired.
the population of Switzerland is just under 9 million, so well below the capital city of Kinshasa.
It's wild to have a country that size.
There are a lot of them, actually. So it's surprising from my perspective, it's surprising to see how much impact countries that have such a low population globally have such an impact on the international scene. And Switzerland is definitely one of those instances.
I mean, on the flip side, if we just went,
the backflip
so many
side
votes on the back, not on the front flip though. Ugh. On the backflip side, if you went with just population, then what? China and India would just kind of rule everything.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm not signing up for that yet. I'll buy
Next question.
I don't have to be diplomatic.
No, but I do. Between the two countries, which has the highest peak? Bonus points. Guess the elevation of the two highest peaks. I'll accept within 1,000 feet. You don't have to name the mountain.
Okay, Switzerland or Congo? Which has the highest peak?
I won't give the answer away this time because it's not my question.
I would be very disappointed if you did.
Of the two highest. All right, I gotta get away from chat.
Is the West Veteran cap giving you some inspiration?
Right. Yes.
Drawing strength from it?
It occupies part of my mind, so the other part can just intuit into the world and learn geography in an instant.
Just like that.
Yeah, that doesn't happen like that.
You know what? I feel like
I'm just tapping into a higher percentage of my mind.
Right.
Via your iPhone.
I'm nearly 100%.
Yeah, I'm in right now.
Wait, we should see if there's somebody in chat.
Is the chat ready?
Ooh, okay. So Matt
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Switzerland. And I'm going to say 26,000, 22,000 feet.
That makes sense.
Okay, that's not a number.
The highest peaks. Feet.
Okay. John.
You could Price is Right me too.
Yeah, is it better to be below or over?
You have to be within 1,000, he said.
So the most important answer is the actual answer, and then the bonus answer.
Which could make or break the game, John.
We both said Switzerland.
Oh, you said Switzerland. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
15,000 and pick a number. I don't know. So 18,000.
So you're close with 15,000 in terms of the highest peak in Switzerland, but I'll let Carolyn devolve the rest of the information.
So, I can give the answer now?
Yes.
For this question, not the next one.
Okay.
This was actually my question, so it wasn't
your question.
Sorry.
You can take it.
You're both wrong. Actually, the highest peak is in the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
What?
Mount Stanley, also known as Mount Nangaliema, in the Rwenzori Mountains, is at 16,763 feet. Oh, Kevin says Switzerland, 21,000 feet. He was wrong on that.
Emily says Switzerland. And Matt says Switzerland.
Jungfrau. Switzerland, the highest peak, at least according to Carolyn's data. Now I'm getting diplomatic.
Wait. Yes, is this ground level or sea level? Above ground level or above sea level?
From sea level, yes.
Kevin says you're wrong.
The Dufourspitze, which is 15,203 feet.
Oh, wrong one.
Oh, thank you, Scott. Kevin says I'm wrong. Kevin says Carolyn's wrong.
The most famous,
Kevin's not getting his coaster.
the most famous contestant.
Kevin
on
is getting his coaster. He answered correctly. You had a bad question.
Oh, whoa!
Wait, is it Switzerland?
No, according to my brother, it is.
Well,
According
so-
there's no way to check.
Carolyn and
There's
her
no way to
research,
check. We're all winners. Congo.
That's not very diplomatic because it's not true.
Except it's
most
very
famous
diplomatic. Because
contestant.
regardless of whether or not it's true, that's what matters. We all win.
So the
Congo.
answer, because he apparently is not going to read his notes, is the DRC, and the altitude is 16,763 feet. In Switzerland, the highest peak of Monte Rosa is 15,203 feet. So about, 1,500 feet difference.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm here. Like I could go outside. I don't know if the weather would permit it, but I can see Mont Blanc, the White Mountain, from my backyard, and it is not even as high as Mount Galiema. So it clocks in at like 15,750 feet or something like that. But still less than the highest peak in the Congo. Also, I appreciate Kevin's comment. I did finish. I think Carolyn should introduce this point.
So Kevin Putzer is one of the funniest people on planet Earth. And we were having a wine tasting. And so it was me, Father John, Kevin, and Father Tate and Paul Metnair. And we were talking about like the pros and cons of these wines. And I had written out these wine sheets, and we were selecting wines for the Spring Wine Fest. So we had a purpose for all of this. And Kevin was like, well, I don't really know much about wine. We're like, that's fine. Like, it's actually good if we have a diversity of like what people know or what they don't know, because we want to make sure people who are coming to the event can enjoy it all these different levels. So that's great. And so Kevin was writing on his little notes. And one of them is like, you know, the bouquet, the aroma, the taste, the finish. And so you're writing notes about all these different qualities of the wine. And under finish, Kevin wrote, yes, I did. Which is not really the answer you were going for, but it was the answer we needed in our heart.
It is the correct answer.
It's the correct answer. So Kevin was harkening back to that event with his comment that I put on the live stream. Thanks, Kevin.
So the answer is the Congo.
So anyway, the answer is yes, in the Congo. Which
I still want to find above ground level or sea level. I can't find that because that's important.
It's
right?
whatever
That is important.
It's whatever Wikipedia says.
Yeah, Wikipedia doesn't say sea level.
The most famous contestant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire ever, a documentary about him, got a question wrong like this related to altitude, but it was just a poorly worded question.
Well, that is accurate.
He fought them about it.
It's all Carolyn's fault.
He actually knew. He knew more. You know, he knew too much. For the question because he knew the.
I'm pretty sure I know too much.
He knew the summit. The summit distance, like from the base to the peak. And he's like, "Well, what are we talking about?" Like,
oh, which is different than maybe the AGL or SGL. Yeah, because maybe it starts a little lower.
Yep.
Oh,
so I think the answer should be, and you get some swag, and you get some swag, and you get some swag, and you get some swag.
I do want to say though, because in the spirit of anti-humility, that I did send these to Father John for final approval.
AKA arrogance. But continue, please.
Yes. So, I mean, I think this is like a shared blame situation.
I did not check this out. Also, if Ryan and John, you might recall, before the beginning of this session, I said I was unaware of the answer to question 8.
This is question 8. Here we are.
And that was question 8.
Mm-hmm. Now, And the reason I looked it up, because this is not something I knew off the top of my head, but I do know the geographic diversity of the Congo. And I think it's surprising to people. They might think it's, purely rainforest or purely kind of lower flat. And when you see some photos, it's quite mountainous. And you see these really big peaks and valleys and this like lush terrain. And so there was this thought I had, like, well, what is the highest point of the Congo? It's got to be pretty high, I would imagine. And then what is the highest point of Switzerland? Because honestly, when I thought of this question, I kind of assumed that Switzerland would be a little bit higher. Just because we all know the Swiss Alps, we know the Dolomites,
exactly.
we know all these mountain ranges. So I thought it was a very interesting point that I learned something from, and I think you also might learn something from.
Yeah, this
There are a lot of
bears
active
out more.
volcanoes as well in the eastern part of the Congo.
That's wild.
It is.
That's where you
Dangerous.
find the
Congo's just
cancer
dangerous.
here. This bears more research because I was looking on Wikipedia, the end all be all of knowledge, and for elevation it says the height from a fixed point. So it doesn't say above ground level, above sea level, because there's a possibility that it could be taller in Switzerland from sea level, but not from whatever ground level they're measuring it from. Not that it matters because we chose the same answer.
I like how contested this has become.
I do. I like it as well.
Very important. And Kevin, by the way, has acknowledged that it was a great question. Thank you, Kevin. You're getting all the swag.
My height was
in the back of
closer.
the studio, I'm just going to take it all, and you're going to get it.
That's true. Does John get any bonus points for being closer? Did you pick 16,000?
If you
He
miss
would
the
have.
main question, can you get the bonus question?
Not at all.
So here's Emily coming in.
There you go.
And this is what I have here. So Mount Stanley, Mount Ngima, which is a part of Ngima, the Rwenzori Mountains in the DRC. So thank you, Emily, for acknowledging how right I am.
Yeah. No, I never doubted you. Nepal is number 1. Let's see. Man, I can't even find the Congo.
What are you laughing
Well,
at?
I think we'll have to organize a time when we're all back in the United States or in Switzerland, as the case may be, and have an evening where we finish a wine with Kevin Putzer, who is so profusely contributed to this discussion.
Very very valuable, very appreciated. Also, it's a good thing that we're going to finish the wine, because otherwise we have to put a spoon in it to keep it fresh.
Yeah. I also
That's a
believe in
question we're not
witchcraft.
going to enter into, because I know it's a question of hot debate, and there's no scientific research behind it.
Which is why I brought it up.
There's a bunch of witchcraft behind it, is what it is.
Do we have a Switzerland budget for this podcast?
I'm sorry, budget?
Here's the thing.
I think you should make the difference between a Switzerland budget and a mission budget, because they're very different things.
Oh, interesting. Somebody else can pay for the mission budget.
Yeah.
Here's the
Not
thing.
much.
Ryan and John.
It's all right.
As long
What
as they
Scott
don't see
doesn't
this.
know won't hurt him. He can probably.
Who
hear
doesn't
me
know?
say that. What Scott File doesn't know won't hurt him.
That's true in
There we
most
go.
cases. Our other partner. Well, I'd love to throw up this graphic and feel really strong about it, but that one question just kind of ruined us.
But you both had the same wrong answer, rather.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I do think that Ryan won.
And that's the only reason I put together this show.
It really depends on what you think winning means.
I suppose. I think there's rather objective standards to that, but yes,
That's
I
true.
agree.
But you know who did win? We've got Emily, we've got Matt, we've got Kevin. You're
There we
all
go.
getting swag. So I hope
They're the
you're
real
excited about
winners.
that.
real winners.
Nice.
Also,
Also,
Yay, Ryan.
John, I look forward to meeting you in person someday because I
Yeah.
don't think we met yet.
Well, it's possible. Like the group that you're referencing, there's a lot of this that goes on with the St. Paul's crowd, because it's like, okay, yeah, I think I've maybe like met all these people at various times, probably present at some of these events, but just, everyone's connected somehow. So
Excellent.
The circle
Well, we'll have
of
to
life.
consolidate that experience with another opportunity to Congo
yes, sure.
with delicious beverages.
Ryan, I just thought of something, and this is, I
Yes.
think, a hallmark of the Backflip Happy Hour, which I appreciate and really enjoy.
something going wrong?
No.
Hmm.
No, I want the best for you. We have not even touched on the topic that you promoted.
The high-level event.
The high-level event.
Thank you, Backflip.
That's
Very
true.
much
Yeah.
involved
Yeah.
in
I mean, all
promoting
the.
A high-level event that was organized by the Holy See Mission here in Geneva, and to which Backflip very generously contributed. It was very helpful. You saved us from an embarrassing situation.
Yeah, here's I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick, because after about an hour and 50 minutes of I literally have 5 things on my desk. I drank this, I drank this, I drank a thing I threw away down there, I drank this. I may die. So I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick. You guys tell that story.
Okay, sounds good. So the Holy See Mission here in Geneva was organizing a virtual event on a presentation of what's called an encyclical letter by Pope Francis. So the popes often write messages to various communities, and in this case, it was to the entire global community regarding pertinent issues. And the encyclical letter is entitled Fratelli Tutti, which is we are all brothers and sisters. And Pope Francis published it in October 2020. And one of the issues that's really addressed is the effects of the global pandemic, but also the importance of entering into a sense of dialogue with the entire human family, because we're all connected. Despite all of our differences, the most important thing is to recognize that we're all united. And if we can't talk amongst ourselves, we lose the ability to move forward and to have a meaningful conversation. And so that's kind of the main focus and impetus behind the encyclical letter. So here in Geneva, at the mission of the Holy See, we deal with a lot of the issues that were addressed in a very specific fashion throughout this encyclical letter. But dialogue plays a most fundamental role in everything that we do. So we wanted to highlight and underline the importance of dialogue for multilateral work, for the relations between countries, and our discussions that we have between ourselves and within the countries. So given the COVID-19 pandemic situation, we decided that it would be most feasible to do it in a virtual format. And we organized this event. It took place on the 15th of April, 2021. And we had, the Holy See Mission here in Geneva is not at all an expert in digital communications and organizing events. Indeed, it was the first virtual event that we had and that we held. And so it was, we were kind of just playing it as we went along. We had a lot of very high level speakers, indeed, a number of people, including Carolyn and
So
others.
high level.
Indeed, make fun of me because of the terminology, high level event. But we had 2 panels with very high level speakers. So the heads of various international organizations that interact with not just the Holy See, but all the countries around the world. that were willing to participate in this event because the idea of human fraternity, of the fact that we're all united on the most basic level, is so fundamental to everything that we do in the international field, that pretty much every level was willing to engage and wanted to be present with their highest level representation. So we had the UN office of here in Geneva. We had the International Labor Organization here, the World Health Organization. We had the High Commissioner of the United Nations for Refugees participating. We had the President of the International Committee of the Red Cross, and then also a number of various participants from various religious traditions who all tuned into this event to offer their observations on the importance of dialogue and recognition of our universal human fraternity for solving the problems of the world and addressing the issues that touch us most dearly. All that being said, the publicity for the event was less than sufficiently planned out. And so we were maybe 2 or 3 weeks out before the event was to take place. And we had some very supportive collaboration from a number of different organizations that had provided a potential graphic for the event. And it was good. There was nothing wrong with it, but it did not have the same professionalism that certain organizations like Backflip can provide. And so kind of offhandedly, Carolyn, who is the great connector of many relations, said, well, why don't, I mean, I think it was just kind of random. She happened to be at an event with Ryan and mentioned that, look, this is what they've got. They've got this event coming up. Do you think you can do anything? And Ryan was more than flexible and more than willing and very generous in offering the support of, oh yeah, Backflip can certainly help out in promoting this event and providing a graphic that's more in tune with what the mission was looking for. And it was I have to admit, it was a very, very short timeline. We needed to send out these invites to the virtual event immediately, and within less than 24 hours from being informed of the challenge, Backflip was able to not only produce a document, but one that was very professional and was consistent with what we were looking for. And so that's what we used for the event, and we had a lot of positive feedback from the various missions, the permanent missions from the countries around the world that were participating in the event, but also from the original producer of the graphic that we would have otherwise used. So I mean, it's an unabashed and completely transparent plug for Backflip, but it's very well deserved. We are very, very grateful for your help. And the event was a huge success. It was, as I mentioned, it was the first virtual event that the mission put on. And so on a technical aspect, we had a couple challenges, but nothing that interrupted the event. And so we were very, very grateful for the huge support from the whole Backflip team, and certainly also from Carolyn, who put us in contact and arranged the whole endeavor. So thank you once again. Thank you for inviting me to this happy hour. I've been most happy. I hope that you have as well, Ben. And I look forward to the next opportunity.
Yeah, when you sent it to me, you sent me the PDF and you said thoughts, ? And I was like, okay. Like, how much time do we have? Like, how much flexibility do we have with this? Because, you know, it's hard. I mean, Ryan's talked about this kind of thing too. Like, you never want to like disparage another person's work or anything like that. But sometimes it's not the right vision. It's not the right match for something. And so what can you do? And I remember you saying, well, we need to send out an invitation tomorrow. So this was Thursday afternoon, our time here in the US. And you needed to send something out by the end of day Friday. And I was like, okay, all right. Yeah. So like, what can we do? Because I could have done something, but like maybe I can see Ryan if he can do something. Because we were going to St. Ambrose at our musical, and it was the preview performance, and Backflip was doing the live stream for the musical. And so I knew I was going to see the whole team, and I was like, let me just ask Ryan because I'm going to see him tonight. It's going to be really easy. Maybe he can do something. And I remembered, Ryan, you reacted to it. You're like, oh yeah, like send me that. Like we can do something. I'll have Hannah work on it. I was like, can she work on it like first thing? Because there's a time limit here. And there's 7 hours ahead, so like tomorrow morning. Like it's kind of a weird request to make because it's also like a demand. It's not just seeking help.
Yeah.
But within this very short time frame, thank you so much. And I remember Hannah was working on it and she was asking me a couple questions. And then I didn't hear anything from her. And I was like, oh no, because you said like, yeah, she can put an hour's worth of work on it. It'll be fine. And then an hour and 2 hours and 3 hours is going past. And it turned out she put more effort into it. And I think it's a testimony to her diligence and her quality control. Like she wanted to make sure she was going to put forward something that was really, stellar and not just here's something thrown together. So I really appreciated that, even though it wasn't even my event, just the care and concern that she had for this thing. That was a favor. It was a pure favor. And it was a great result.
Yeah, we were talking and I think you brought it up and I was super interested in this high level event. I'd never heard of high level events before, but just all the parties involved, and you shared with us examples of the work, and immediately I was just like, hey, can we help out with this? Can we maybe give you guys some graphics or do some graphics, to help out with this? And yeah, you were like, well, they kind of need it like tomorrow at noon. And I was like, let me try to get Hannah on it just an hour in the morning. This is important. It's good. I think it would be really, really cool to do as well. So it's just that random, like good people. I mean, I'm hoping I can be considered a good person, but good people connecting and good things coming out of it, sharing and just working together in the mission. And, we are in the service industry, so I have to sell a lot. But in this case, it was like, can we just do something? Can we just help, even just a couple hours? It could be fruitful. So that was really fun to see that all kind of come together just by running into each other and you guys having that conversation. And then we had a conversation, and then immediately I think I sent it to, thanks, Kevin. Kevin can speak as a person. Unless he's talking about them, in which case I agree. But just, coming together and working together on the mission is awesome.
Well, and I think what it really portends is maybe someday, we could be hired by the Holy See Mission and maybe, go out to Geneva and we could be.
Sure. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you all could we could do these little vignettes on all of the diplomats to try to get people, to know you more and know you better. And maybe that makes your job a little bit easier.
I bet Kevin would be happy to do a vignette as well.
That's the opposite of what they want. They don't want people to know them.
Diplomats.
No. I said I bet. I'm sorry. I'm interrupting Carolyn.
They try to
Lady Pope.
Lady Pope.
You go. No, I got. You go.
He likes doing that. That's like a thing. He enjoys that thing.
It was an accident when I did it to you on that meeting.
Oh, was it?
It was an accident the first time, and then it was.
Or am I?
Kevin likes to do things.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we better wrap this up because we got another meeting to go to in a little bit. Thank you so much, Father and Carolyn, for coming on. This was awesome.
Thank you very much. It was really a pleasure.
Is there anything you want to plug, promote, or share?
Backflip. I mean, what else is there to plug? No, we don't really have any specific things going on right now. So I am, once again, just to reiterate my gratitude for all the help that you did. But yeah, I look forward to maybe another potential opportunity to engage in the happy hour on another occasion. So. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah.
So that I can be considered as well a frequent guest.
Love that.
Carolyn's maybe one episode away from a smoking jacket. So you can aspire to Carolyn's level.
Make it happen.
If only.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Father. Thanks, Carolyn.
I
Always
have
a
something I wanna
pleasure.
plug.
Oh, you should plug something.
Speaking of virtual events, I am running the last of our spring virtual events at St. Ambrose Academy. This
Yeah.
Sunday, 7 p.m., we're going to have a student pop-up. So we had a series of events with our faculty to show off what they can do in the classroom and just like who they are as a person, because we have just excellent faculty. And then we had a parent pop-up where we had 3 current parents talk about their experience at school with their kids and what their kids have learned and grown, and all these different great things. And then now on Sunday, 7 p.m., we're going to have 6 graduating seniors talking about their own personal experiences. So it's a great opportunity, just talking about digital events, kind of the theme of today. And the theme of how I've been on here before is this opportunity from the pandemic to really bring this in a new way to people, new information, and a new kind of means of sharing it. And so we've had a lot of success with that kind of online format, and looking forward to having that. So it's going to be on our Facebook and our YouTube, Ambrose Academy, and then 7 p.m. Sunday.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you're interested in organizations that is a school you want to donate to, that's great to check out. Also, if you want to send your kids to an awesome middle school or high school with great values, you should check that out.
And it's great because you can learn right from them. I mean, it's always kind of like if someone works for a place, it's your job to sell the place, right? Like they're, hopefully the person's being authentic and true in what they're saying. And I certainly like to believe that I am, and that is what I do. I truly believe that this is a great place for people, for students and their families. But it's a cool opportunity to hear right from the students' mouths themselves. Like they're not being paid to do this. They're taking time out of their day to come and talk about their experience, and you're going to see their true, joyful, authentic selves and what they believe is a value in this kind of education.
Awesome. And let's see, I should probably plug everything else that we have. So this is the old one. The commenter, Father Scott and Mark Ladonio, they have a great conversion story. They'll be coming on next week as well.
Beware,
after that,
beware.
yeah, you have to come troll him. That'll be amazing. I believe that's also at noon. Same bad time, same bad place. After that, we've got Brent and Peggy Hoffman, friends and colleagues of ours. They run their own businesses as well, and work in marketing. So that'll be a really fun one. After that, we've got the Hygge Health guys. They are also behind John. What's their onesie company? Like
Forever
adult
Lazy.
onesies. Forever Lazy. So check out Forever Lazy.
Wow.
Get your adult onesies. They're really fun. We've done some work with them.
I think
after that,
needs one of those.
What's that?
I think Kevin
Yeah.
needs one of those.
Yeah, that's what people are getting, who stuck around the whole time. Then we have Apache Danforth, who's coming on. She's a great woman. She's working with Paradigm on a lot of the native work that they're doing and we're doing with Paradigm. That's going to be awesome. I haven't talked to her at all yet, but Rob, who's been on the show, he hired her to really help with the Indigenous side of the business. So that'll be a really awesome conversation. Tune in for those. Anything else, John? No, I pointed the wrong way. There we go.
Just go to Switzerland, climb the mountain there. It's shorter.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, that's all we
Pay
got.
more for a hamburger, but
Yeah.
you win some, you lose
But
some.
it's worth it. Yeah.
It is.
All right. Well, Congo. Thanks everyone for coming.
Congo.
Oh,